just before the break, it seemed like, in the second quarter?
I just think that the young men were coming out and they were competing, and I understand, and it was, both teams were competing extremely hard. I wish they were letting them play a little bit. I wish they'd let them play a little bit more.
What, in your estimation, led to your success in doing some things that a lot of teams haven't been able to do against Notre Dame this year, no matter who they played, whether it was Clemson or Florida State or anybody else, to have a pair of 100-yard rushers? They haven't given up one all year, and you had two. How did it happen?
I've got to go back and watch the tape. Obviously, Cooper Lutz I thought he was really good, but I didn't know he was really that fast. And then, Sean's been steady all day, all year long. And then that one run he had was really, really good. He made one guy miss, cut back inside the corner, jumped over number 20, a safety, and I'm sure 14 was around somewhere, and then he outran 14 to the end zone. So it was a really, really good run.
We talked during the week about whatever was accomplished in this game was against a true title contender, the number 2 team in the country. What sense do you have from your team right now after this game that anything positive achieved in this game was legit, and how do you build on some of the other stuff? Well,
I think it was a good contest. I think our guys got to measure themselves up against one of the better teams in the country. And, we play the Clemsons and the Notre Dames and the LSUs of the world. So it's a day for them to say, hey, I'm just good as those guys, even though I may not have as many stars. And they normally come to play, and I was glad and I was proud about the way they competed today.
This one's more of a curiosity than anything. Just wondered what the approach was on kickoff return today where you declined those.
They have a really, really good kickoff team. Their speed is so – if you really watch them, it's like everybody's 4.5 or faster. The kicker kicks with extreme height, and those guys are a lot closer than what normal teams are. I thought there might have been one or two that we might have made a mistake on, but overall the philosophy was to go ahead. And North Carolina did the exact same thing with Mac Brown. They didn't return one kick, and I thought Mac Brown had the right strategy on it.
And last thing for me, Coach, just the thought and the message you have to your team right now. This might be the last time you're all gathered as a big group here as far as the traveling squad is concerned. What do you want them to leave with here to close 2020?
A macro view of this program. How do you get it better, and how do you go about in the offseason determining what changes, if changes need to be made, whether it be personnel or staff?
You froze on me, so a whole bunch of what you said I did not hear.
Just changes in the offseason, if you think you need to make any, and how do you go about those, whether it be personnel or staff?
We're going to go back and look at the tape and evaluate everything in the program, from players, staff, the way we do things, everything that we do. And that's an annual evaluation that we do every year.
Thanks, Coach. The next question, we're going to go to Stephen Bailey from 247 Sports.
Hey, Dino, two-part question here for you. Looking into the off season, what's the time frame for talking with seniors and getting a straight answer with them? And how hampered are you by maybe not knowing what the full scholarship situation will be at the NCAA level?
Yeah, let me answer the second question. That's really difficult because we don't know what's going on and we don't know what they're going to do, and it could really affect every program, not just our program, but every program. So the sooner the better, and the chances of us getting some information over the Christmas holidays normally is not good. We're probably going to find something in January, which is really kind of not fair, but that's kind of how the way it goes. And then with the seniors, we're going to sit down and we're going to talk, and I'm sure we're going to, come to some conclusions here.
Would that be as soon as this week, like Monday?
I don't want to get into the exact time of it, but it needs to be soon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Coach. Next question is going to go to Jacob Payne from Sports Illustrated Syracuse.
Hey, Coach, it wasn't only impressive to do what you did on the ground against Notre Dame, but after only getting 3 yards last week against NC State. I don't think anybody saw this coming. How do you explain the difference in production in just 1 week?
You froze on me also right in the middle of your statement. So if you could please repeat again, it would be awesome.
Yes, sir. I was just saying, not only was it impressive to see this running output against Notre Dame, but you guys only ran for 3 yards against NC State. How do you explain the difference in production in just 1 week?
You know, it's difficult to explain. I would like to think that we blocked a lot better, but I've got to really watch the tape. Normally, when you have 2 backs that go over 100 yards, you've got those guys normally have some long runs, and that's exactly what happened. And normally, long runs happen from well-blocked plays that have extraordinary effort once they get into the secondary. And I think if you watch Sean Tucker's long run along with Cooper Lutt's long run, that's exactly what happened. So, you know, I'm excited to see it. Both of those guys, last time I checked, they both have 4 years left as we speak. So we got a chance to be good for a while.
Next question is going to go to Anthony DeBundo from the Daily Orange.
Hey, Dino, you guys were 5 of 9 on third down in the first half and then 0 for 5 in the second half. What adjustments did they make, or what went wrong in the execution there? And why do you think it's been such a problem all season?
You know, first of all, you got a lot of questions in there. This team in the second half, if you watch Clark Lee and his defense, they've done this basically to everybody. If you check the analytics, their second half defense has been outstanding. Now, us going 0-5, I'm not happy about that, but normally it has to do with miscues. Probably, I got to watch the tape, but somewhere or ending up a little bit short of the chains. I think one of them was a third and really long, and we just ran the ball and punted. So I think that was one of them. I can't remember if that was the first or second half. And then you asked so many other questions, I can't remember the other ones.
Just what's gone wrong this season that you guys are the third worst third down team in the country?
Yeah. What we're going to do is we're going to go back and really check out what's going on with that. A lot of that has to do with, you know, the offensive line and being new or being young and not having a lot of replacements. And it has to do with numerous quarterbacks and style and structure and calls, and throw all that stuff in a pot and it comes out goulash. Okay. So what we need to do is break all that stuff down and go back and get a lot better.
Thanks, Coach. We have time for 2 more questions for you. We're going to go to Nate Mink from Syracuse.com.
Hey, Dino, I wanted to ask you a little bit about some of those offensive linemen that have been kind of rehabbing all year. What was lost by them not being able to do anything all year, like not even practice?
It's a fantastic question. I'm not going to say everything, but a whole heck of a lot. You know, there's no growth. You know, the one thing about, you know, obviously this is not the season that we wanted, but there's growth. You can see guys developing. It's going to help them. When you have a guy that gets hurt and he doesn't get to practice the entire year, he goes stagnant. And it's really, it's disappointing and it's concerning that they're going to come back exactly where they were before the pandemic started, basically. And, you know, there's nothing we can do about those. The cards that we've dealt, but the ones that played this year, they should be a lot better.
There was a point where next year you were going to be on schedule to have a senior-laden offense again. Are you behind now because of all this?
I'm not sure. Nate, you just asked me a question and I blanked. Say it again.
I said at one point you were on schedule to have a senior-laden offensive line next year. You know,
you just froze on me.
Your quarterback.
You froze on me.
Oh, I'm sorry. At one point, you were on schedule to have a senior-laden offensive line next year. Do you feel now you're behind schedule with where you ought to be?
I think anybody that didn't get an opportunity to go to the practice field this year, okay, didn't grow. They stayed exactly the same. Now, they got to watch tape and all that kind of stuff. And some of them, believe it or not, if it was a lower body injury, they could do upper body work. And if it was upper body injury, they could do lower body work. But as far as being on the practice field and getting the continuous reps, they're going to, you know, they're behind. They have some catch up that they have to do.
Thanks, Coach. The last question we're going to have for you today is Mark Larson.
Hey, Dino. Merry Christmas, by the way.
Same to you.
Thank you. Last time Syracuse finished 1-10, it felt like 1-10. This team, your team tonight, didn't look like a 1-10 team. Can you explain kind of the sting of finishing with that one-loss record, but also the feeling that you have that there were some encouraging things to look forward to for next year?
You know, like I said, this team, our record is what it is, but it doesn't act like, nor does it feel like our record. And, you know, you can look at it and go, hey, that's bologna cheese. You're trying to make it sound better than what it is. It is what it is. I understand what it is. Okay, it'll be with me the rest of my life. But I also understand that these guys are out here and they're playing and they're fighting and they're young and they don't even know yet. I mean, there's guys out on the defense, and I mean a lot of them, that can't touch me in the weight room. And I'm almost 60 years old. And this is not about me, but I'm like, they can't even lift with me. But and that starts to happen when their body starts to change. And now when they hit people, instead of the person falling over them for a 2-yard gain, they're hitting them and they're going back for 2 yards. That's when football gets to be fun. Well, these guys, they're gonna grow up, they're gonna lift up, they're gonna build up, and then they're gonna be really, really good players. And you know, Coach Kelly was talking about that before the game. He says he was going through our roster and he was like, hey, you guys are gonna be good, just stick with it. And I looked at him and I said, I believe that as well. I just got to let them grow up. The puppy's got to turn into a dog, and we're going to be okay.
Thanks very much, Coach Babers. Have a safe trip back to Syracuse.